Tired Metalhead Weatherman. I hope you guys have had a good start to the week. It's been a very active week on my part so far already, and it's only been Monday. But there's plenty going on with the weather too, so we're going to get it going. Also, before I get into the meat of this video, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been watching lately. Been noticing the increase in viewership and the videos being watched. So, just a quick shout out to you guys. Thank you. Make me want to keep doing this. Anyway, we have several marginal risks, including one for today. Not a whole lot going on with this one for today. We only have one wind report, 3 hail reports. Dynamics aren't very impressive over this region. It's more impressive into Mexico than it is here, to be honest. So not really going to be able to cover that because my access to forecast models in other countries pretty limited. But what we can do is we can go ahead and take a look at tomorrow and Wednesday. So if we look at tomorrow's threat, this stretches from the northern plains mainly into Wisconsin. We do have parts of Minnesota involved, but we can also look at the Missouri Valley and even into the southern plains. There is a threat, a marginal risk for severe storms. Thankfully, though, the tornado threat is relatively limited. I'm going into the reasons as to why that is in a minute. But the main threat we're worried about here is wind and hail. But some cities that we can be on the lookout for severe weather will include Milwaukee, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, Omaha, and Tulsa, and areas in between. Really, we also can't discount Duluth, Minnesota, Minneapolis, to Green Bay and La Crosse. We can't forget about you guys either. And then even towards Norman and Fort Sill, you guys are in that marginal risk there too. Don't be surprised to see strong thunderstorm possible. But, oops, wrong screen. But we'll go ahead and go to day 3 and take a look at that threat. Threat's a little bit more condensed on day 3. We have the threat based more over towards the Ohio Valley and the Mississippi Valley as well, including the Ozarks. The threat so far entails areas like Columbus, Ohio, Cincinnati. Cleveland, you're not in this, but we also can't discount areas like Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, and Evansville and Indiana. Then we also have Southern Illinois involved. We have pretty much the entire state of Kentucky, almost the entire state of Tennessee. And then we also can't forget to include areas like Little Rock, St. Louis, and areas just to the east of Jefferson City. So this threat is a little bit better suited based on the parameters. Again, I'm going into detail with that in just a minute. Also, a couple interesting things I'm going to go into here that I haven't really gone into with the channel in a while. But first, we're going to start with the dew points, and this is a key talking point here. Up until recently, we were only seeing dew points in this area forecasted to be in the 50s, but we do have a couple of small areas where we get into that magical 60-degree dew point range. So I'm thinking this area here is going to be a point of interest for me as far as severe development potentially. But there is one factor that we have to look at, and we will be looking at momentarily. But I do think towards the late evening hours, maybe those parameters can overcome that, and we end up getting a few thunderstorms. I don't expect any kind of outbreak of any kind from this. No one's really expecting it. So we'll go towards Wednesday, and we'll look at the moisture returns there. It's a little bit more ample this on Wednesday than it is on Tuesday. It's a little bit more sporadic. Whereas on Tuesday, we have higher dew points a little bit further north than we did on Tuesday. So we're definitely keeping an eye towards the Ohio Valley, but definitely gonna put a little bit more emphasis on Tennessee and Kentucky here, especially towards central Tennessee and Kentucky. Maybe even towards western Tennessee as well. I do think a line of storms probably pops up and wreaks a little bit of havoc there. But we'll go ahead and go a little further in depth with these severe parameters. Now, here's one of the factors that I think plays against the Tuesday setup in particular. The Cape. The Cape just isn't super high. I mean, on the latest, on this latest run here, the Cape values are a little bit better, or a little bit more suitable for severe storms. We're kind of sitting into those higher 1,500 to 2,000 range occasionally, but this also seems a little bit generous. But also notice how small those pockets are and how few and far in between they are as well. But it's nice to have Cape here, but one thing that can limit all of that, one thing that can mitigate the severe weather threat entirely, is this right here. It's called the CIN, or capping inversion. So let's not get this confused with Cape. So, quick little lesson here for you. Cape is what we use, is the unit that we use to measure the energy in the atmosphere. And usually this energy can help influence stronger thunderstorm development, right? And as we know, a thunderstorm is caused by a collision of warm and cold air masses. Now, capping inversion is, okay, you have that thunderstorm with that warm air rising and that cold air sinking. But somewhere up in the middle to higher levels of the atmosphere, there's still some warm air aloft. So that warm air rises into warm air and then it has no place to go. And this model right here basically measures that. And if it's in abundance in these brighter colors, so to speak, odds are you're not going to get a storm to develop. These storms will end up shearing themselves apart or tearing themselves apart long before they even form into anything. And storm chasers usually hate this. But we'll go ahead and go into Tuesday here. And you can see those values really starting to skyrocket early into the day. So this is going to limit a lot of thunderstorm development. But once we get into the evening hours, and the late evening hours in particular, some of these values do drop off just slightly, but they are still pretty high. So, like, once you're getting into those values that are under 100, getting towards 200, it gets a little bit sketchy now. Storms can still fire in this region, but the further into the negative this value gets, the less chance you're going to have a storm to develop. And then when we go into Wednesday, we'll go ahead and look at that. There's some pretty considerable values, but look what happens in the early afternoon. Like, a lot of areas around here, you start to lose those values, start to drop off. So our storm threat increases here exponentially compared to what the storm threat is over here. There's a lot more confidence in there being storms in this region versus storms yesterday. Oh, I didn't mean to click that sounding, but okay. We'll look at this hordeograph here, and lo and behold, we have a little bit of a tornado potential here. I'm trying to remember, where did I click that at? We'll go ahead and look at the radar in a minute just to kind of retrace our steps here, but that's a very interesting hordeograph here. Could there be a slight risk issue tomorrow afternoon? That's going to be interesting. So we'll be watching that really close, but now you guys have also learned something new from me. Alright, so we're going to switch back and look at the potential radar reflectivity over the next 60 hours. Also, as I'm waiting for this to load, I want to make mention that a while back I made a little wager with you guys. If you guys could get any video on my page to 10 likes, I would be willing to start doing like little video lessons talking about some of the terminology, like, for example, capping inversions, Cape values, looking at all the factors that help create severe weather, looking into hurricanes, all that other stuff. Just got to get a video to 10 likes. Still hasn't happened yet. I'm waiting on you guys. I'm more than willing to make the content. Anyway, though, our radar's loaded and we are going ahead into the afternoon hours of Tuesday. And you can even see it. This is the effect that that capping inversion has. Like you had those Cape values in the 1500s to 2000s. In a normal situation, they would be more than sufficient for severe weather development, but because of that capping inversion being as strong as it is, these storms are going to be a little weaker, but eventually that low level jet kicks in and it starts to make that inversion kind of yield, and then we do get some storms to fire. Although they aren't going to be quite as strong as what you would expect them to be, there is still a potential for severe weather. Otherwise, I do think that they would have went with a slight risk, maybe even a enhanced risk. But we look into tomorrow here, and then towards the late evening hour, storm starts to really fire around Tennessee and Kentucky here. We also get some fire storms to fire off in the Ohio Valley as well. But I definitely see some big time storms coming into the south and east by late evening, even into early Thursday morning here. So we'll have to keep a close eye on this, and then you can also see this big cold blast coming in after the fact. And then there's one other thing I meant to look up. I keep forgetting. I kept trying to remind myself, but a little earlier today, I did see an area of interest for tropical development in the southwest Gulf of Mexico. Very interesting to see how this will turn out here. Because, I mean, mainly it looks like it's heading inland towards Mexico. Probably not a threat for the U.S., but there is a lot of uncertainty with this. This is something I'm probably going to be making a video on in the next day or so. I could make a secondary video tonight and just post it in the morning. There's a bunch of different, but there's also other outlooks. There's other outlooks and different stuff I'm trying to do here. Very active time on the channel, but I do this for you guys. I also enjoy doing it myself, honestly. So we're going to just keep the train rolling here. But for the most part, this is the end of the video here. If you liked what I did with this video, definitely leave me a like, share the video as well. Let me know in the comments what you think of the severe weather potential tomorrow and Wednesday. And of course, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. But this has been Metalhead Weatherman. I hope to see you guys in the next video.